Hey guys, welcome to Gemini season. We have our new moon in Gemini that is aligning for us on June 6th, 2024. It's happening at 16 degrees, 17 minutes of the sign of Gemini, 8:38 a.m. Eastern time. So you can time adjust that for wherever you're at in the world. And we got a lot to talk about with this Gemini new moon coming in. There's a very powerful, purified, refined Gemini energy going on this Gemini season. So we're actually probably going to see a lot of the very classic Gemini themes, characteristics, archetypes playing out quite regularly in our experience. We're going to be talking all about that in our report for the day. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. My name is Aubrey. On this channel, we narrate the shift of the ages. I look at the astrology as it's coming together in real time. You know, what do we have going on out there? Our transits, whatever activations, whatever chart is coming to play with a new moon or a full moon, or really any given big energy pattern that we have going on. But I like to also keep in consideration the overall cosmic blueprint that is unfolding right now, and the fact that we are currently transitioning from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and how these day-to-day, more like microcosm transits and activations are playing this larger role over time in our gradual transitional process from one age to another. So that's what we do on this channel, you guys. And today, of course, we are looking at the new moon in Gemini. It looks to be, honestly, a lovely experience for the most part. Now, there are some challenges that are presenting. We may need to really think outside of the box in order to solve some of the dilemmas or obstructions maybe that we come up against as we go through this period of time. However, there's likely to be some new people coming into our lives that are very valuable somehow, or some valuable information, some solutions, some big ideas. This is going to be a very, very information oriented period of time. And it's interesting because this new moon in Gemini this year, I feel like it's actually representing not only a 4-week lunar cycle. Of course, every new moon represents the foundational energy that is going to build and grow and blossom and bloom over the course of that lunar cycle from new moon to new moon, peaking obviously with the full moon 2 weeks into that energy. But because this is happening in alignment with Venus, I feel like it's also representing a greater year-long Venus-Sun transit that is beginning alongside of this new moon in Gemini. And also, we just had Jupiter also enter the sign of Gemini for a year-long transit through Gemini, kind of all happening in alignment with the new moon in Gemini. And we also have Mercury himself, who rules the sign of Gemini, in the sign of Gemini for our new moon in Gemini this year. So I feel like there's some new beginnings, new cycles beginning right now that are not only, of course, going to carry us throughout this lunar cycle over the next 4 weeks, but also are going to have a duration, you know, throughout the next year, like this June till next June, and this Venus-Sun conjunction through the next time Venus and the Sun come into their yearly conjunction. So just wanted to put that out there as well. There's multiple cycles, I feel like, that are being introduced and beginning alongside of this new moon in Gemini energy. And it is a very fresh energy coming in. And again, as I said, with the new moon being in a conjunction to Venus and also the ruler of the sign of Gemini with Jupiter, new opportunities, valuable connections, conversations, perspectives, ideas, something of, you know, value, worth, purpose, potential, opportunity, very much enmeshed and intertwined with the connections that are coming in right now, and just the general experiences that are playing themselves out as we move through this period of time as well. Now, let's talk about the chart. First of all, you know, I've mentioned we have this triple conjunction going on. Each month when the sun and the moon come to the same degree in the sky, this represents our new moon. So when the sun and the moon conjoin, that is our new moon. But we have Venus there as well. So this is a triple conjunction that we have going on for our new moon, all at the exact same degree, 16 degrees of the sign of Gemini. We also have Mercury and Jupiter in a relatively tight conjunction in the earlier degrees of Gemini. And the only real hang up associated with kind of the general pleasantness or like at least surface appearance of lovely energy associated with the way that this is presenting is a square to Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Saturn is at 18 Pisces. So we have a pretty tight 2-degree orb square playing out between the new moon itself, that triple conjunction exactly aligned with Venus, and Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Now, Saturn, this is the disciplinarian, this is the judge, this is like the wise teacher, okay? It's also authority, it's also control. We are going to need to think outside of the box in order to solve some problems, some challenges, things that are obstructing our path, perhaps, as we move through this period of time and as at least this 4-week Gemini lunar cycle, Gemini season plays out. The challenge, I do think, is going to be, as we move through this period of time, to listen and take advice, to do what it takes and put in the effort required to learn what life is really teaching us right now through the experiences that it's presenting. Pay attention this cycle, focus your mind, avoid distractions to the best of your ability as well. This is probably going to be an extremely like busy, maybe like noisy, even distracting energy because there's just so much going on. We have so much Geminian pure focus, Mercury in his own sign, conjoined Jupiter. This is the expansion and the amplification of everything associated with Mercury, which is conversations and information and just like things going back and forth. And it can be a bit chaotic. It can be a bit all over the place. It can be like a bit noisy. You know what I mean? It's like the hustle and the bustle and the chatter. So avoiding distractions and being able with that square to Saturn, like it really is telling us a lot. And not only is it telling us a lot, this actually, I'll tell you guys, this chart is, if you guys have been following my work this week, my previous 2 videos this week, I've been talking about how I feel like the energy that we've had going on this whole week leading into this full moon has been sort of playing into that full moon in Sagittarius that we had a couple of weeks ago. That was like a really energetic high point. We had Jupiter and Venus in an exact conjunction while we had the full moon in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, playing out. And it was just giving these like very positive indications. But then like right after that, energy shifted dramatically. Everything entered Gemini, everything like destabilized. I feel like there's something about the energy being presented in this new moon chart that is like phase 2, chapter 2, the next step in maybe what was presented to us under that full moon and Sag energy, but then maybe went through some type of interruption or disturbance or change somehow. There seems to be, you know, the potential for some really good things to be coming about in this energy, but there is this need to, I mean, with the Saturnian influence there, it's like we have to grow up on some level. Like we have to mature somehow. We have to like make our thinking more sophisticated or something. Like there is a need to refine our thought patterns, to be more controlled in the way that we are using our mind. And that is like the challenge that we need to overcome to like get the true sweetness out of this energy with the conjunction between the sun and the moon and Venus in the square to Saturn and Pisces. It's also going to be our job to not get caught in an illusion of like weakness or inaptitude, and to make sure that we push ourselves even when we feel like giving up, even if we feel like we can't do it, like we can't go on. That is part of the lesson that is coming through this cycle itself. It's not even so much about, well, it is. It's partially, I mean, we're talking about a Gemini new moon, so it's like half and half, right? It's like this side and then it's this side. Like this one side of it, like one portion of the experience and the lesson that we're moving towards this cycle has to do with like what we are actually learning, the skill that we're learning, the information that we're learning, and the practical application of that in our lives somehow with the Venus energy. The other side of what we're learning is simply like the journey itself. You know what I mean? It's like there's the destination, the outcome of whatever process we're going through to acquire a skill or to figure something out or to expand our mind in some type of way. But then there's also the journey that we go on in order to attain that greater sense of knowledge or skill or understanding or whatever it is, and what we actually learn through the process of going through the experience to gain that learning. So, you know, there's these two sides of the coin, which is appropriate because we're dealing with Gemini energy, which is about polarities and doubles and twins and counterparts and partners and two sides of things and two sides of stories. So we need to keep in mind, you know, what we learn, the knowledge and the wisdom that we gain through what we're able to overcome. It's not only about what we get out of it in terms of what we learn, but also what we learn on our way to what we're going to get out of it. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. But we are going to want to do our best to slow down when we can. Practice is also something that I feel like is quite indicated in this energy. There's an important crash course that is going on throughout the course of this Gemini cycle that we must learn to master karmically. Now, I started saying this earlier and then I got like a bit off course and distracted about what my point was, but now I remembered it and I'm going to come back to it. I started talking about how I felt like this energy that we're in right now is sort of like phase 2 of that kind of like magical full moon that we had on May 23rd, the full moon in Sag, where we had Venus and Jupiter in the exact conjunction. I feel like there's kind of like fairy dust sprinkled on the chart of this new moon as well. Literally, it's so apparent. Like there's no digging, okay? Like everything is very clear on the table in terms of, I feel like, what this new moon cycle is bringing to us and what kind of like the universal expectation is as we move through. Okay, in terms of the transits, I've already said we're mainly talking about, first of all, this hardcore Gemini energy, which is the sign of the student and the teacher. It is all about information, learning, facts, knowledge, skills, communication, diversification of things. I mean, we could go on and on and on about all the various things that Gemini energy rules and represents, but education, you guys, learning, student teacher dynamics, very like traditional Gemini characters, themes, archetypes, all of that. And the symbolism that is presenting in association with the chart is so like validating and verifying and reflective of the actual transits. Like it's just another one of those like very synchronistic things that I'm just like, oh, okay. Like we know that we've got this Gemini energy going on, right? And Gemini is also the youthful energy. Like this is the student energy. This is like the thirst for learning type of energy. It is a more like naive but youthful and very open to gaining knowledge and information type of energy. In the square, as I said, to Saturn in the sign of Pisces, Saturn's like the old teacher and the judge and the disciplinarian, right? And so it's about maturity and it's about responsibility and it's about self-control and it's about self-discipline in the context of the mind. Listen to the degree, the Sabian symbol degree where this new moon is occurring. The Sabian, or the degree placement for the new moon, like I said, is 16 degrees 17 minutes of the sign of Gemini, which when we read the Sabian symbols, we always round up a degree because we read the incoming wave of energy, not the outgoing wave of energy that's like dissipating and dissolving and stuff. So we're going to be looking at 17 degrees of Gemini in terms of our Sabian symbol placement for our new moon this cycle. And like, this is the degree, okay? The head of a robust youth changes into that of a mature thinker. That is exactly all of this Gemini energy, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Sun, Moon, all, you know, that triple conjunction, and then just like a few degrees down, Jupiter and Mercury right there, squaring Saturn. That is the maturity, okay? And it is literally the position of this degree, the head of a robust youth. Gemini energy changes into that of a mature thinker, a maturation process, truly coming into one's self in some capacity. I do feel like is indicated here the process of becoming the destined higher version, awakening to or aligning with a greater dimension of ourselves that we are being called to step forth into right now, taking things more seriously as well, especially in the context of relationship dynamics and financial dynamics and what we're thinking about, the way that our mind is working, our perspective on things generally. And then listen to the position of Saturn, okay? 19 degrees of Pisces via Sabian symbol placement. A master instructing his disciple. So we've got the position of the new moon ahead of a robust youth, changes into that of a mature thinker, squaring Saturn, a master instructing his disciples. Like what, and it's the season of lessons and it's the season of learning. And with Jupiter now in Gemini, it's the year of expanding our minds somehow and expanding into a greater perception of life and reality and purpose generally. And this, I do feel like, this Gemini new moon right here is very, very, very specifically telling us, giving us our instruction, like telling us what the lesson is. We need to take instruction this cycle. We need to learn something new, discipline the mind as it expands into these new horizons, these new dimensions, and these new perspectives and realms of possibility for ourselves moving forward. A lot of things are going to be opening up, and we're going to be thinking about things and seeing things from perspectives that, could be quite foreign to us actually. A lot of shifts and changes and preferences and desires going on as well. Changes of mind, changes of heart, very much indicated here. There's a couple more Sabian symbols. The position of the Earth at 17 Sagittarius, always in a polar opposition to the position of the Sun, and oppositions obviously are having kind of carrying a special weight right now as well with this very strong Gemini energy, which rules things that are the same and also things that are very different, polar opposites to each other. So the position of the Earth, the state of things on the ground when this is playing out, is an Easter sunrise service, which of course is pinnacle rebirth, right? So it's all new, okay? It's all fresh. This is a brand new experience. This is a brand new opportunity. There's going to be a lot of new people that are coming into our lives. Again, not only this cycle, but this whole year, this whole new Venus Sun cycle that is starting right now, and also this Jupiter Gemini cycle that is also in the process of starting right now. We also have Mercury ruling the position of this new moon at 7 degrees of Gemini, a well with a bucket and a rope under the shade of majestic trees. Things coming up from the depth, shining light into the shadows, revelations, figuring out what's been going on under the surface of things. We also know that we do have an ongoing Jupiter Pluto retrograde trine in early air signs that is happening as well. This is going to be a very revealing period of time. We're going to find a lot of things out. We're going to find a lot of things out in the context of relationship dynamics, of financial dynamics, things that have been going on under the surface, but also we are going to solve a lot of our own deeper issues rooted in maybe some unhealed trauma or some like faulty subconscious programming, some things that we've been holding maybe within like the deep recesses of our mind that we hadn't worked through, that had been causing maybe some self-sabotaging behavior. A lot of people are going to be figuring out some of their own deeper issues and sort of being able to bridge the conscious and the unconscious mind in a way that frees the mind and allows us to kind of reprogram consciously whatever was going on back there so that it's actually benefiting us moving forward and no longer maybe keeping us trapped in cycles of perpetuating self-sabotage or attracting toxic dynamics into our lives in various ways. We've got that going on as well. And the rope with the bucket with Mercury there under the majestic trees, the shade, all of that, I feel like, is another indication that we are getting down deep and we're pulling things up, that can really sustain us, nourish us. Like what we're finding out also is contributing to our life force and productivity moving forward also, okay? But primarily, you guys, with the new moon in Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Venus squaring Saturn and Pisces, I do feel like the major emphasis here is on sort of like a student-teacher dynamic. You may find yourself more actively engaged, playing out, acting out one of these roles, being the student, being the teacher, being the master, being the apprentice, like mentorship type of dynamics going on as well, especially anything to do with like the arts or building, production, creativity, crafts, projects, things related to work or finance, also like assets, resources, and of course like partnership dynamics very indicated here. Never though, I will say, at least, you know, in the time that I've been doing these daily videos over the past 3+ years now, I don't know that I've seen a better time to learn a new skill or to cultivate maybe like a talent or something that, you know, a passion or something like that. Maybe try something new that you've never done before that maybe you've always wanted to learn. This is definitely the time to do it. Again, especially anything musical, I will tell you guys, very, very supported in this energy. The degree where the Sun and Venus began their conjunction that they've been in all week, this past Sunday, was a famous pianist giving a concert performance. And I've been feeling like there's this whole year also, I mean, we're talking about Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini. This has to do with sound and vibration. And with Venus having come there to begin the new cycle with the Sun and Venus this year, just something about the airwaves or harmonics or resonance or music or frequencies, I feel like, I don't know, highlighted somehow. And the ability either to like draw things together through that, like this connectivity with the Venusian energy as well. I mean, I don't know, but I just feel like, especially like anything musically oriented, excellent way to like manifest this energy constantly in your own terms. Also artistic, but definitely like creation or creativity oriented. Also very fantastic energy for analyzing and understanding relationship dynamics, becoming kind of like our own psychologist in terms of understanding the way that we relate to ourselves, the way that we relate to others, the way that people at large, like various dimensions and dynamics of relationship and connection, like attachment styles and stuff like that. Root issues for, again, like I was talking about, figuring out maybe some of like our own shadow side issues or like our own like inner hangups in the context of relationship dynamics with other people. Airing things out, I think, will also be a big feature of this new moon cycle that we have going on. Feelings, thoughts that have been suppressed, especially if they've been like weighing on us emotionally, or they're like really like on our mind and on our heart, speaking from the heart, getting it all out in the open, putting everything out on the table. People are really going to be verbalizing. And again, we've got the trine to Pluto as well. Like these could be long suppressed feelings, things that we have not told anybody about, secrets also that we've been keeping, but definitely like some of these deeper and more emotional feelings, like people are going to be speaking their mind, speaking their heart, letting it all hang out with us. It's just the Gemini energy, like it is going to come out. People are going to be expressing their feelings. If you've been wondering what's been going on with somebody, they haven't been communicating, you haven't been wanting to ask, you're probably going to be finding out sooner than later as this energy unfolds. Also, as I've been saying, meeting a lot of new people this lunar cycle and really all year long, that is going to end up equating to a period of time that was very dense in relationship changes, options, opportunities, and potential. Changes of heart, changes of mind, the relationship realms of life are going to be very, very active this lunar cycle. And again, I do think kind of like summer to summer, June to June, July-ish of next year, from now until then, stronger desire to meet and connect than we might normally experience, or at least than we have probably experienced so far this year. This energy, it feels like it's breaking the ice in some capacity, especially in terms of things that have been working their way to come into alignment, but maybe have just like not been able to like make it or break through that final push. I feel like this is where we're kind of like stepping through or crossing that boundary. Very, very soulmate vibes coming through here. But the partners and the people and the situations and the alignments that are just like coming into fruition right now, they are going to be a reflection of who we are in a process of becoming, and they are not going to be like the type of people and relationships and situations that would have aligned with us previously in the past. The people that we are attracting now and that we are attracted to now in this very strong Gemini energy. And remember, another thing that I want to say, I always talk about planetary rulership. We currently have Venus, right, in this triple conjunction with the sun and the moon in the sign of Gemini. The ruler of Venus rules the sign of Taurus, and Uranus is in Taurus right now. So actually Venus is ruling the Uranian energy, which is pulling in that same Uranian energy, Uranus and Taurus, for our Gemini lunar cycle as well. Like, this is also sudden, shocking change, but the proper realignments, like the changes that, you know, maybe we haven't been able to make, but that universe is making for us. And it is these divine alignments that are coming into fruition, I feel like, happening now. And again, like, things that maybe have had a hard time getting off the ground, that have been resistant, that have been stubborn, that have been hard to get going, like, this is when the momentum is picking up. And I feel like this is when the breakthroughs are really going to start happening. But I do feel like we're going to start being attracted to or attracting very different people than what like our normal, usual like type would have been. And that doesn't just necessarily go for people. Like, I feel like, you know, the types of music, as I was saying, music having this big impact maybe that we're listening to right now changing, or with Venus there, the types of food that we're interested in eating. This could be shifting our tastes and our appetites, our preferences, our desires, the types of clothes that we want to wear, the way that we want to present ourselves, the way that we want to decorate our home, like the type of art that we're attracted to, and of course, you know, what we're attracted to romantically, the types of friendships that we're associated with, and types of people that we want to align ourselves with and stuff like that as well. Like, all of these types of things I feel like are going to be really going through a process of redefining and re-identifying themselves individually, then like boiling down to us like having this whole kind of new identity moving forward after this period of time as well. But like I said, the relationships and the connections and the experiences that are going to be coming in now will be a reflection of who we're becoming and who we're growing into. They will come in to support our process of growth and change. And I do think there will actually probably be kind of like a repulsion to maybe the things that we used to be attracted to and the things that we used to feel very comfortable with. So it'll be interesting over the course of the next year to kind of like gauge what you're interested in, what you want to be involved in, what you're craving, what you're attracted to, what you desire, and see, you know, starting now and next spring, if you have personally undergone some type of massive shift in terms of just your general values and preferences and stuff like that as well. Learning new things, of course, is going to be a major draw right now. People are going to be, there's a desire. We got Venus in Gemini, okay? There's just a desire to learn new things, to meet new people, and to mingle with like-minded individuals as well. Communication, of course, is everything this cycle. And things that aren't communicating, okay, that's where some breakdowns could occur as well when we have the Saturnian influence in the sign of Pisces. There could be also like fact and fiction, fantasy and reality coming up against each other, causing some type of conflict. We cannot fall for like some type of an illusion of authority that maybe existed in the past but no longer exists, but that we're still like following the rules of or holding ourselves back because of as we move through this energy also. With this, just made me think of that with a square to Saturn, all this Gemini energy in the sign of Pisces. But communication, very, very crucial. And as I've been saying in my other videos for this week, amazing day, amazing week, amazing month, lunar cycle, and also a very good year probably for any type of sales, business, commercial activity generally, charm, charisma, magnetism, persuasive survivability absolutely off the chart in this energy. If you do have a career or a lifestyle or a niche or a profession in life that does include sales or, you know, business, commerce, like anything to do with that, you could really harness the energy very nicely of these times to get some good results and some good outcomes in terms of whatever you're got going on out there. So there's that. But really, okay, ahead of a robust youth changes into that of a mature thinker, in a square to the master instructing his disciples, you guys. This is all about, at the end of the day, despite our ability to have like a very, you know, charm and wit about us that helps us to persuade and influence and manifest things in accordance with actually like our conscious vision. That's another side of this energy. It's all about growth. It's all about maturity, practice, discipline, and the development of a skill or a talent or a knowledge base or an idea or a subject or area of interest to us, stimulating our mind to expand and broaden its horizons, whether it's through simply like a sense of soul fulfillment or satisfaction that is derived from whatever it is that we're learning or how our mind is growing and expanding, or whether it's literally because we're learning a new skill that we can then apply practically to literally like make more money from somehow. With Venus there, you guys, Venus is love and money. What we're learning or the connections coming in could really be things that translate financially for us somehow. Or again, it could just be value in the information itself in terms of how it's impacting our ability to like move towards our purpose or to realign ourselves or to redefine ourselves in some capacity. But increase your talent stack, you guys. This is a really great time to, as I was just explaining, translate some new skill that we're learning now into something financially beneficial. And we're going to pull it out now, you guys. It makes sense in the context of our overall transition of ages process right now, as this year, if you guys have been following my work, I've been saying I feel like this year is actually, as Pluto begins his transit, 20-year transit of the sign of Aquarius, to me, this is when these new Aquarian frequencies really begin to root themselves to the earth, to our paradigm, as we bridge into the incoming age of Aquarius, which I do think will become more and more evident as these frequencies become stronger and stronger and embodied by and resonated with more and more of us over this period of time. This new moon right now, I feel like, is showing us how we can translate on some levels, in some capacities. A lot of people are just going to be inherently doing it, learning a new skill or gaining knowledge or information that we can then translate financially somehow. And why am I saying this? It's because moving forward into the age of Aquarius, knowledge is in some capacity or another going to be a form of currency. The value inherent in knowledge and wisdom and understanding and of truth will be the most valuable asset, the most worthy asset that a man can possess as we bridge into this new energy that is carrying us forward. So when we have a new moon cycle coming in right now that is so much about giving us an ability to expand our mind, and with Venus there as well, translated into something that can practically serve us or benefit us or beautify our world or our lives somehow, this is a microcosm dose of what is to come. This is a lesson, part of our lesson plan, great on a greater collective level as we transition into the age of Aquarius, and something that people are going to be doing more and more now as we move forth into this dominant air sign energy over this next 20-year period, with Pluto transiting Aquarius and also the incoming age of Aquarius that will follow on the heels of that. So again, like, there's a bigger picture and a bigger story going on here, which this is playing a small part in, but it's playing a very interesting and I feel like enlightening part in. And of course, it's also just likely to be having these impacts as this period of time itself unfolds on our day-to-day lives and experiences with the world around us. So we truly are the students at this point in time. We should embrace that again, or maybe you're playing the teacher role or the mentor role or the master role in a certain dynamic of your lives. But in one context or another, we are all the student, I feel like, and we are also probably in some capacity all the teacher as these polarities play out and as we move through this very dense Gemini energy over this next couple of weeks. And again, with the Sun Venus conjunction GEMINI that happened in Gemini, and also Jupiter in Gemini perhaps over the course of this next year. It's not meant to be easy though. We do have the square to Saturn, and so I don't mean to just gloss over all of this with the beauty and the potential of what could come. Jupiter right now is at 3 degrees of the sign of Gemini, and that Sabian symbol is the Garden of the Tuileries in Paris. Like, there are some beautiful presentations that could be very much associated with the potential for the growth that is being seeded now. But it is not meant to be easy. When we have a square to Saturn, this is a challenge that we need to overcome. However, the wisdom that we gain through the experience of overcoming this in itself is a prize, a harvest to be reaped, I guess we could say, like as we move through this time. Challenge, determination, perseverance, the ability to overcome setbacks is what produces greatness this cycle and always. But that is a great part of the lesson, I feel like, that is sort of being cosmically and universally presented right now. We need to be willing to work for whatever it is that we want to learn, that we want to attain, that we want to understand. And we need to understand, okay, that if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. And that's just the way that life works generally, but that is really what is being emphasized, I feel like, as well, with the way that the symbolism and the planetary placements are coming together for this cycle. Half the lesson is what we learn through the process of having the discipline to push ourselves to expand into whatever it is that we're actually learning as the outcome. As I was describing earlier, we need to take the instruction seriously. It will be a highly beneficial tool in our toolbox somehow. Gemini energy, if we take it in the symbolic context of the tarot, this is magician energy, manifestation. Through our efforts and our versatility and our heart, we can make almost anything happen and take place for ourselves. Our challenge is Saturn, right? This is the hermit energy. We can't forget what we've already learned in the process of building and creating whatever we want to bring into fruition this cycle. We need to take time out of the commotion and of the hustle and bustle and of all that might be going on around us to recenter ourselves, to find our center, to hone the skills that we are learning, to develop our understanding, to process all the information that could be just swirling around or we could find ourselves immersed in now. The energy field is really going to be buzzing with activity over the course of this cycle, and it will be important to periodically take time out to withdraw, to reflect, to renew ourselves, and to make sure that we remember that our mind is our own. One kind of caution or red flag with all of this Gemini energy, and especially with Venus there as well, we and we alone are responsible for our own mind, for our own viewpoint and perspective. We do not want to allow ourselves to be overly swayed or overly influenced or overly persuaded by others during this period of time. Remember the highly persuasive and magnetic quality of the energy, for better or worse. Gemini energy, right? This can have a very dualistic, like two-sided, two-faced nature to it. We want to make sure that we are not falling prey to some type of persuasion that is like influencing the way that our mind is working. So, with the squares to Saturn in astrology generally are not a happy time, and they are usually a difficult energy that we're dealing with. But in the context of the magician in the square to the hermit right now, it does make sense. Like, if we are not taking the time out, if we are not detaching ourselves from the commotion and from the group and from all the information and stuff, it could be really easy to allow ourselves to be persuaded by somebody else or influenced by somebody else's view or perspective or understanding of things. So I do think some good advice being presented by the Saturnian square that we have going on is to allow ourselves to withdraw, to center ourselves from time to time. Make sure that we are not taking on too many other people's thoughts, ideas, opinions about things, which is highly likely. And a lot of people are going to be very susceptible and very prone to being persuaded or influenced by what is coming out of other people's minds. Okay, making mistakes with the Gemini energy, this is also probably going to be something that we're dealing with, especially with the square to Saturn, the master instructing his disciples. Any learning process, like how do we learn? We learn through making mistakes. A lot of times the best lessons we learn through making mistakes, because once that you've made that mistake, you have to learn and you're generally not going to make it again. So there could be, you know, some missteps or mistakes that we find ourselves making over this period of time, but learning through that experience will again probably be something worthy or valuable to us somehow. I do think people are probably also going to be, with the conjunction with Venus, they're spending money on like lots of little odds and ends, like wanting to try this and that, sample this, do that, make small diversified investments and stuff like that. And lastly, this is not a very committed, invested, relationally loyal energy. So you're best not to set yourself up for some type of failure by expecting people to necessarily follow through on what they say they're going to follow through on, do what they say they're going to do, act how they say they're going to act. Everything sounds like a lovely idea in this energy in the moment. Everything sounds great. Everything sounds beautiful and wonderful. Yeah, let's do that. But as soon as that moment has passed, this is a very fleeting, whimsical, back and forth, here and there, hot and cold energy. And it's like on to the next. Okay, as soon as that moment's over, thinking about, you know, other options that we might prefer that showed up somehow. So, you know, not expecting people to necessarily follow through on things is probably just going to get you a better overall emotional result. But I will say, what we learn through the process of these unfolding relationship dynamics is probably going to be something that is valuable to us in some way, or expands our understanding of things or our knowledge base somehow, benefits us somehow in the end. So pay attention to everything. This is a great cycle to be highly observant, to really pay attention, right? To, again, be more disciplined in the way that you are using your mind, even though the likelihood is distractions and scattered thinking and a hard time focus and here and there and everywhere. With the square to Saturn, like, this is the challenge. Staying focused is the challenge. Staying disciplined is the challenge. And also not getting caught up or held back in any illusion of false authority, or like old rules, or like feeling like we can't do something because maybe we couldn't have done it in the past. It reminds me of the elephant, you know, that sad story of like baby elephants when they chain them to chairs or whatever so that they can't move. But then as they get older, even though they're like big enough to pull the whole chain out of the wall, they think, because they've been conditioned to believe that they can't do that because of, you know, how they've been trained. This is a breakdown of authority also. I've been talking about this for months and months now. As we move forth into these stronger Aquarian energies the rest of this year and into next year and these next 20 years, there's going to be an inherent breakdown in rules, regulations, control systems, and authorities that defined the paradigm of the past. And this is something that we are going to start finding ourselves coming up against as we move into this very versatile Gemini energy as well. And just because we couldn't do something or something wasn't possible for us in the past, we cannot apply that same frame to the reality now and going forward. There is also something that I haven't mentioned yet in this report that I meant to say, is that we also have a near exact Neptune black moon opposition happening. The fears and the limitations and the like self-imposed confines, okay? Like there's a huge element of illusion in terms of the fears that we are allowing to control us as we move forth through this period of time. Fear is the illusion right now. This is a lesson that we are going to learn as we move forth in this energy as well, and also not to fear the changes that are underway and what we might need to let go of or surrender in terms of the way that we've generally done life in the past as a result of that. Information is king right now, you guys. What we're learning, the expansions that are going on in our mind right now, this is the king vibration with Jupiter there. It is not the old rules and the old control systems and structures and authority figures and traditions that controlled the nature of our experiences in the past. Saturn, authority, control, rules, regulation, is in the sign of Pisces. This is a breakdown, okay? This is the end of an era in terms of the way that things have been established and have been done. We are changing the rules here, and change, versatility, that is also being extremely emphasized in the Gemini nature of everything that is coming into play with this here new moon cycle. So that brings me to the end, you guys. That's what I have to say about everything we've got going on here. Again, like very, very synchronistic nature to the way that things are presenting. The Sabian symbols could not be more in alignment with the transits themselves. And just the general times that we are in, times of epic change, relationships, financial situations, things opening up, more options, but also shifting and changing preferences, desires, values, what we want, new people coming in. I'm serious about the soulmate stuff going on right now too, you guys. I see a lot of, this is why it's happening. It's because our interests are changing, okay? So we're going to be learning new things that put us in different environments that we've never been in before. As a result of that, we're going to attract different people who are also interested in that new thing that is supportive of, whatever we are coming into, whatever version of ourselves we're coming into right now. So we are inherently going to find ourselves aligning with new people, new ideas, new experiences, because we're going to have a desire to do different things. And that, obviously like attracts like, which is going to be, very far off the beaten path of what we're used to in the road that we've traveled so far. But transition of ages right now, narrating the shift of the ages, we're transitioning to the age of Aquarius. That is the requirement of the times that we're in as well, which will become more and more evident and play a more powerful role over the course of the next year. Sorry, my phone keeps going off and going off. There's a group chat for my son's little league team, and there must be some changes going on or something right now with game schedules or something. And it's just continues to go off. But as I was saying, that is what we are working with. That is literally I'm actually grateful to that, because it's a real-time example of exactly what I was talking about, the noise and the distractions and just the chatter and just all the information coming in. I'm trying to stay very focused on the stream of thought and the information that's coming through this, but over here in my ear there's this chatter of this text message that I keep hearing, kind of trying to pull my attention. But anyways, we made it through, you guys. That's what I gotta say. That's how I feel energy's coming together for us. We're gonna get a synchronicity card right now, one more bit of information to give us just an additional piece of guidance, support, advice for moving through this period of time. And it says, rest, relax, and believe, you guys. Have faith. It is going to be a more optimistic period of time as well. We should be kind of on top of our game mentally, clear thoughts, and well, there is a square to Saturn, so it might be a bit of a challenge to, again, keep our mind focused. But rest, relax, believe. He feedeth among the lilies until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. Song of Solomon 2:16-17. Wow. 16:17. Did you guys remember what degree I said the new moon was happening at? 16 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini. Oh, I told you there's magic pixie dust going on right now. Take refuge among the lilies of God and heaven, and dwell upon the concepts of joy, harmony, peace, beauty, and divine law and order. All your plans, journeys, and undertakings will prosper. Continue in this abiding trust and faith until the day breaks and the shadow flees away. As I was saying, you guys, like, could be a continuation of that really nice full moon that we had. There are good things coming with this. I didn't mention in this card, I'm grateful for the message on this card. It reminds me of the justice themes associated with Venus as well. Venus is the Libra energy also. This is the scales. This is a karmic reckoning. This is the scales of justice being weighed. So there could definitely be themes of justice and fairness and things being balanced or evened out that come through right now as well. And also could be a very gossip oriented new moon cycle also. So I'm gonna stop talking right now, or else I'll literally just keep talking and talking and talking, and as these thoughts come into my mind. But rest, relax, believe, you guys. We're moving in a good direction. Do what you can to keep yourself focused. Work hard. Don't doubt yourself. Self-doubt could be the only thing that could really get in our way this cycle. But just as this says, continue in abiding trust and faith until the day breaks and the shadow flees away. We're moving in a good direction. That's what I have to say today, you guys. Thank you for being here. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think they would also be interested in this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I am super grateful for your presence here on my channel. If you're having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post images of those. You can find that in my description box below. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We are going to be having our video for the weekend. Lots more astrology coming at us, lots more to talk about. I will be here. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time, guys. Have a beautiful new moon. And until then, bye.